So during the course of this month, I had an epiphany. It's always good as a YouTuber to go over your analytics every now and then to see which videos are doing good, which ones are doing bad, which ones are helping your channel grow, and which ones are doing nothing for your channel. And ever since I started this thumbnail tutorial series, I've noticed that has been the crux of this channel. And so starting in 2018, that is going to be one of the main aspects of this YouTube channel. Nowadays, I've been getting so many suggestions for videos, and I'm just going to start doing votes on Twitter. That will be what happens in 2018. So today we're going to be doing latency. Quite a few people have suggested me him lately in the past few weeks, and it's a style that I don't usually have done before. So it was a learning process for me as well, and I managed to learn how to do it after a day and a half of this quote-unquote research. So leave a like for that, comment down your suggestions for future tutorials down below, and don't forget to subscribe if this is your first time on the channel. So of course I gotta show you guys what LATENCI'S thumbnails look like, and they're mostly tutorials, so that is going to be one of the main themes when I show you how to do it. In this tutorial has a common theme of a lot of text and a nice blurred background. Let's just keep going. Well, as you go farther down, you see how his style has changed. So I'm just gonna focus on the style starting from at least 6 months ago. So that's what we're going to do now, and I'm really going to enjoy doing this because it's a very interesting style. We don't even have to get any screenshots from Minecraft. Well, actually we do. So I had trouble figuring out what to do because, like I said, they're tutorials. So what I'm doing is just going to be like a copy of this thumbnail, how to get Cheat Breaker, because he's more of a texture pack YouTuber. So of course it's going to be less of Minecraft gameplay, less of Minecraft looking thumbnails, and more of tutorial style thumbnails. So we're gonna open up Photoshop, and we're going to go to File, New. I always like to name it after the number of tutorial. So is this 11 or 12? You know, I'm just gonna put 12. Make sure to set this to my preset, which is thumbnails, which is 1920 by 1080, and you guys can do 1280 by 720 if the file size is too large. So we're gonna get our background first. We're gonna go to File, we're going to go to Place Embedded, and I'm just going to get a screenshot from Minecraft. Okay, so I got a ton of screenshots here, and I found one that works just right. Now his background is blurred up to the max, and it's kind of like black and white, and pretty sure it's a screenshot from Minecraft. I'm certain about that, but he just changes the color, changes the tint of it to make it look nice. So I have this nice screenshot that I just took with some shaders on because this one works best. Of course you don't need to take it like this, but when I took this screenshot and tested it out, it actually worked pretty fine. Now we're going to go into the adjustments, and I'm going to go to hue and saturation. I'm gonna go over here where it says colorize, and this is the box. I'm gonna check that box. Now we're going to make it a nice blue. He does other colors, he does yellows, greens, but I think I like it best, or works the best for me, when it's a nice dark blue, like on the verge of being a purple. Now this looks a little gray, so I'm not sure how I feel about this. I might change it later on if it doesn't seem to work out. So right here, and that's what hue and saturation does. Basically a color shifter, if you may. Now we're going to go to Filter, Blur. We're gonna go to Gauge and Blur. We're gonna max out Gauge and Blur. I actually messed up. I forgot to select this layer, which is the screenshot. Gauge and Blur. And I set the radius to 30.4. I'm actually going to reduce it. Actually, yeah, you need to have it very high. So the higher the better. But of course you can't make it too high, otherwise it looks like this. You can see these weird lines. Alright, and once you're done, press OK. Now, I actually think we're going to go right into the text. Now, there's actually three texts that we're going to be using, and the links to all of them will be in the description below. So, I'm actually going to start off with the text that is in the center. So, I'm going to type in cheat breaker mod, and I'm going to change the text to the one that we're supposed to be using, which is this. Go bold, bold, italic. Link will be in the description below. Let me just, okay, we're good. Hit the check mark, Control T, and we're just gonna make it small. I'm gonna Alt and scroll down to zoom out, and of course that means that Alt and scrolling up zooms back in. Make sure you hold Shift while you're reducing the size of the text so that you maintain the proportions. Otherwise, it looks horrible when you're done. There's actually an S at the end, but of course it really doesn't matter. And now I'm just going to reduce this S a little bit more. Now I noticed that in his thumbnail it wasn't in the dead center. I'm not sure why he didn't have it in the dead center. It was like a little more to the right. So now we're going to put our second text, which is how to get. Okay, and now we're going to change it to the second font that we need, which is this one, Probert Black. Hit the check mark once you're done. Control T and zoom out. Make this smaller. Once again, remember to hold Shift. I'm going to make this significantly smaller than Cheat Breaker Mods and line it up in the center. Now, if you're in Photoshop, the CC version, it should automatically line it up for you in the center. Center it out with these hot pink lines that you've been seeing. But there's another way to do it if you have CS6 or CS5 or something. Okay, now he always likes to add a plus and then some more text, which is going to be in his video. So if you guys want to do that, all you got to do is select your Minecraftia, which will also be in the description. Click anywhere. And in this case, it was him announcing a release of a texture pack. So it's going to be plus. And the name of the texture pack in this thumbnail was Spectrium Pack Release. So, I'm not gonna lie, LATENCI'S thumbnail style is probably best suited for graphics, people who do tutorials or just graphics make packs, because, well, you guys suggested him and I guess I have to follow through with it. So maybe you guys are upcoming graphics creators. I don't know why the text changed for how to get, so I'm going to change that back right now. There we go. Hit the check mark once you're done. Okay, so this is the text that we need. Now we're going to add some more screenshots, but let's focus on adding the effects to our lovely text. So I'm going to start with Cheat Breaker Mods. Now it gets a little bit complicated here. So he likes to add this glossy effect to his text. Now don't worry what that means. I'm going to show you guys right now. So first of all, we're going to change this color to red. I think this red is good. Is it good? Whoa. Oh, I see. I gotta drag this. Yeah, there we go. Okay, yeah, I think this red is alright. It's alright. But of course, we can always change it if we want to in the future. And now, the next thing we're going to do is select this tool, the rectangular marquee tool. And you gotta judge this right. So, wherever you believe the bottom half of the text is for Cheat Breaker Mods. Okay, now you gotta select the gradient tool, which is G. And now we're going to swap this. So make sure you have black selected. So black, drag all the way to the bottom right corner, hit OK. And now we're gonna go up here. All right, and we're going to select this, foreground to transparent. That means it's going to be the color you selected, and it's just going to fade out into nothing, so that the original color of the text is all that's left. So once you do that, hit OK. I actually almost forgot one last thing. We need to create a new layer. We need to create a new layer before we actually do any of this. So just go down all the way down here. It says create a new layer. Now after we do that, right click the blocks and go to create clipping mask. And the last thing we need to do is actually rasterize this layer. So rasterize type. Okay, after we do that, let us add the actual gradient. So drag down, try to keep it as straight as possible, and then boom. If you mess up, you can always hit Control Z and do it over again. Now that we're done, also make sure that before you rasterize this layer, you did everything you wanted to do with the text, because after you do that, you cannot edit it again. Otherwise, everything will get messed up. So now we can actually deselect this, I believe. And it has this nice gloss effect with the gradient. And you can do this in other ways. We're not done here though. We need to actually go double click the text. We're going to give it a satin. Got to make some changes to this satin first. Alright, so for now, copy down all these changes that I made to the satin. Just pause the video and do that. We'll worry about that later. Now we're going to add the inner glow. And this inner glow is nice because it'll act like if you have it the same color selected as your text itself, then it looks like it makes this gradient have this nice effect. Like, I don't know how to describe, but it's like popping out. So reduce the size in accordance to how big your font is, the size of the font of the text. And in this case, 18 is looking very, very nice. So after you do that, hit OK. And now that you see that we've added the inner glow, you can see the satin on the top half of the text and a little bit on the bottom half. After you do that, hit OK. And now we're going to adjust the actual gradient gloss effect, and we're just going to reduce the opacity. Just like that. Reduce it a lot. Well, not too much, but to the point where it looks all right. And I think that looks very, very good. Now all we got to do is do the same thing for how to get, which is text above it. So we're going to leave it as white, and now we're going to do the same thing we did. So find out where the half of the text is. Use the elliptical tool to draw a box on the bottom half of it. Create a new layer. Before anything else, we're going to rasterize this type layer. Go all the way over here to the gradient and keep it the same gradient, so the same black, and then just drag down. Make sure you have the right layer selected as well. Oops, I forgot the most important thing. Got to right click and go to create clipping mask. So what the clipping mask does actually is to make it so that whatever effects you're applying to the layer above it, it'll only affect any part of the layer below it. If that makes sense. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but I'm sure you guys get what I'm saying. We're going to add the same effects, and all we got to do is simply right click the original text that has the effects. Go to copy layer style. Now right click the new text that we want the effects to go onto. Click paste layer style. Except we need to change this inner glow. So double click the text, and we're gonna make the inner glow white this time. Oh, look at that. It looks amazing. Splendid. Hit OK. Actually, before you do that, I'm going to reduce the size for this because this text is slightly smaller. And okay, the size is 10. Hit OK. And finally, we're going to reduce the opacity to this so that it's not a solid black, but more of a gray. Oh, that looks amazing. Oh, I forgot one more thing. We need to add a drop shadow. We need to add those drop shadows. So go back to here and add the drop shadow and just copy down all these things you see right here. I'm actually going to reduce the distance a little bit. No, I actually think it's fine. And reduce the size. There we go. Now we're also going to add a drop shadow to how to get, but it's going to be slightly smaller. So I'm going to reduce distance, so that's right behind it. Reduce the spread. Actually keep the spread like that. And there we go. Okay. Now for this, the text below it, we have to add no text, no effects to this whatsoever, except for the drop shadow as well. And this is going to even have an even smaller size and spread. Hit OK once you're done. Just going to move this bottom text lower. I think that's good. And now the last thing we need to do with this text is actually add a curve to how to get in accordance to how latency does it. Now, alright, so we're going to do Control T. Make sure you have how to get selected. Right click it and go to warp. Now we're going to do the nice arc warp. So go all the way up here to the top left corner of your screen, next to warp, and you'll get a drop down menu. Click arc, and this looks crazy, so we're just going to reduce the bend. Reduce it. I always like to keep it at around 12, but I think we're gonna have to keep it maybe 20 this time because it's a little bit more bendy than how I usually do it. Okay, so once you do that, hit the check mark. And now we need to do the same thing with this so that it still lines up good. So we're gonna hit Control T, and when it's an image, it's easier to just go up here to where you see this nice curved box with a curved line underneath it. So click that, and just like how we did with the text, go all the way over here. It's going to say custom. It's going to be a drop down menu. Click arc, and we're going to make it 20, just like how we did it with the text itself. And now hit the check mark, and boom, now you have the text and the actual gloss effect curved. And now we're going to hold shift and select both these layers. I'm going to use the arrow keys and hold shift to put this down like that. Awesome. Like amazing. Okay, so we're almost done. Almost done, guys. We're just going to add the actual screenshots from the Cheat Breaker mod. So I'm going to get those in right now, and once I get them in, I'll explain which each one is. Okay, so just like how he did it in his video, he has around 5 to 6 screenshots explaining or visualizing what the Cheat Breaker mod has. It's basically this mod that gives you all these ways to help you PvP better with all these stats. And we have this one, this one, this one, this one. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I got these screenshots from one of his videos because I didn't want to go through all the trouble of installing Cheat Breaker mod just to get these screenshots. So here we have this, and I actually need to drag these all up above the hue and saturation. I don't know why I keep dragging them below the hue and saturation. Alright, now first of all, we're going to move this text. Move it just slightly lower. So there's just move down. That should be good. Okay, and now this screenshot, trying to find, yes, this one. So we're just gonna make these larger and just put them in random places on this thumbnail. So I'm gonna put this down here. I'm gonna rotate it a little. Okay, that looks all right. And now, where are you? There you are. Gonna make this larger. Make sure you hold shift while you're enlarging it to maintain the proportions. Rotate it. Yeah, so just do this. Just put them in random locations on the thumbnail. This larger. That right here. And then you have the armor status. Make this larger too. I don't know what that voice was. That was not a voice crack because I did that voice on my own. Not a voice crack. Just so you guys know. Okay, now we got this final screenshot right here, which is explaining what the Cheat Breaker mod is. I'm gonna make this smaller. Just a little smaller. Now, we're not quite done with these screenshots yet. We need to add some effects to them, otherwise it'll just look bland. So it's basically going to be drop shadows and inner glows. So we're going to go to one of them. Gonna hit drop shadow. We're gonna bring the spread up and the size. I'm gonna add an inner glow. Raise the inner glow, reduce the opacity. Raise it a little more, and then reduce the opacity more. Hit OK, and now just right click, copy layer style, select all 4 of these remaining 4 and click paste layer style. There we go. Okay, and finally add a motion blur to this one. So go to blur, filter blur, motion blur. Okay, that seems all right. So distance 48. Don't worry about the angle. Hit OK. And yeah, let me just check to make sure I didn't miss anything. Man, I feel like this tutorial has been going on forever. Okay, so 2 more things. Just 2 more things we need to do. We need to add the cheat breaker logo itself. So let me just get that out right now. Alright, we got the cheat breaker logo. Obviously, we need to get rid of the white around it so that it's just the actual logo. So first of all, we're going to right click it, rasterize laser, and then do Control J to duplicate it because we're going to have 2 variations of it. I'm going to make this one invisible by clicking on the eye next to it. Now we're going to go to the magic wand tool, select anywhere where that is white, hit delete, and now we just have this. And don't forget inside the B, I forgot it the first time, and it wasn't that serious. All you have to do is, anyway, just select anywhere outside the thumbnail to deselect that. And now we're going to just add a simple drop shadow by double clicking it. Go to drop shadow. We're going to reduce the size and the spread because that looks disgusting. That looks good. Hit OK. And now we're going to right click, copy layer style, and paste it to the other one. Now we're going to get rid of the background behind this one. Delete. And boom. So this one is just gonna be chilling here. Just chilling here. And then I'm actually going to drag this one behind the text. But that it's in front. And now this other one, I'm going to drag over here. And now we're going to actually make this look white and have a nice gradient with it. So we're going to go over here, right click the gradient tool and click the paint bucket tool. And now we're going to make sure we have white selected for the paint bucket. Now we're just going to click all these areas to make it white. And it's as simple as that. So now after we do that, we're going to double click this and we're going to give it that gradient that I was talking about. The gradient is set to 66% and it's just the gray to, let me just do it like this so you can see. So it's the gray to, you know, to whatever the color of the original image is. And now we have it like this. I'm actually going to raise it a little bit more. Let me see what happens if we add an inner glow. It doesn't really do much. Well, let me raise the opacity and reduce the size. Yeah, nothing special. Actually, okay, now it's a little bit more noticeable. Okay, after you do that, hit OK. I'm going to Control T this one, rotate it a little, just put it all the way back here so that it's just a portion of its bottom is not visible. We're going to drag it just behind this one, the text that is here, so it looks like that. And we're going to make the other one, the original one, just a little smaller and rotate this as well, just like that. Okay, and the last thing, I promise this is the last thing, we're going to add just a nice question mark right here. So just click anywhere, type a question mark, and we're going to change the font to Arvo, which will also be in the description. And we're going to do Arvo bold italic, or just Arvo italic. Yeah, Arvo italic. And we're going to give this its red color, and then we're gonna move this down here, and we're going to put it behind the text like that. Okay, now I know you guys are gonna be very upset when I say this, but we need to do the same thing that we did for these two layers. Actually, let me see if I could just copy this layer, move it back here, and then drag it up like this. Rasterize this layer and create a clipping mask. Oh, would you look at that? Whoa, so I gotta save so much time. Like I said, I am no master at this. I had no idea you could do that. Okay, we're gonna add the drop shadow, add some distance, add spread, increase the size, add even more distance. And we're going to add that inner glow. We're going to make this red. Like this. Like that. Alright. We're going to add a satin. Go back to the inner glow and there. So what I recommend is to add the satin, then the inner glow, so that you know what is the right amount of the inner glow. Okay, hit OK. So I think we're done. There was so much to do in this thumbnail. This is probably the longest tutorial I've ever done. So if you guys managed to get up to this point and completed it successfully, give yourself a hand. Hold on, guys, real quick. A couple of things that I need to change before you're actually done. First of all, instead of making the hue and saturation of blue, I decided to make it a red. So just drag it all the way to the right until you get that nice red color. And most importantly, we're going to add a nice brightness and contrast to make everything look a little more less faded and more vibrant in color. So go to the first layer that comes behind the last text layer, and we're going to go to adjustments, gonna go to brightness and contrast. And now what you want to worry about is about the contrast. So just drag it, and honestly I think you could drag it all the way. Well, not all the way, but I'd say leave it at 80. Do you want to do anything with the brightness? No. Okay, so leave the brightness. It's all in the contrast, and that way it looks 20 times better. And you can make the red for the red text a little brighter. Give it a brighter shade of red if you want. I'm just gonna leave it be. And yeah, this looks better. Alright, back to the rest of the video. So this is how you make thumbnails like Latency, and I just want to make sure that you guys don't waste time like me when it comes to adding this nice gloss effect. All you have to do is copy the one that you did before, and then create the clipping mask onto the new text layer, whichever you want, instead of just doing it over again with the opacity and everything. Just so you guys know, which I just learned right now. So thank you all so much for watching. Have an awesome day. And at the time I'm recording this, it's actually Christmas Eve. So if this goes up tomorrow for Christmas, then Merry Christmas to all of you guys and a happy, prosperous new year. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. Talk to you guys later. Peace out.